Arizona gets the win against ASU, but I think you could argue there were more questions after this game than answers, despite moving to 14-5 in Big 12 play.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. Locked On, your team every day. All right, Arizona gets the victory against ASU, but this was not an impressive performance, to put it mildly. Gosh. All right. So let's talk about it. Arizona gets off to a fast start, and you're thinking to yourself, all right, this is going to be an easy win, senior day, this and that. And then Arizona just did what it does, and it just stops defending the three. I don't know why this continues to happen, but it continues to happen, and it continues to happen nonstop. That is the part that is just annoying about this. And when a team gets going, it's like Charles Barkley says, when the house is on fire, that's just kind of where it's at, and you can't really do much about it. This was a very, very frustrating performance from an Arizona perspective, and we're going to talk a ton about that. We're going to talk about the effort. We're going to talk about Henri. We're also going to talk about where what seed this team's going to be, all of that. But when it comes down to it, when Arizona plays bad basketball, it's because of one of two reasons: turnovers or not defending the three. And that was they didn't turn the ball over this time, but guess what? They didn't defend the three. And I think that's something that has been an issue for this squad and will continue to be an issue for this squad pretty much all season. I don't know that is going to be corrected at this point, nor do I expect it to be corrected. It's just something that is incredibly frustrating because this team is capable of playing good ball, but for whatever reason, they just don't put together continuous efforts. And I think that's just what's frustrating about this squad. You look at it and you're like, okay, well, let's say like Jaden Bradley, for example. I worry that Jaden Bradley is wearing down. He is he's had to play 40 minutes per game. He's the only ball handler on the team. Things like that worry me. And he just doesn't look like the same player he was earlier in the year. But that's also Arizona's decision, not going in with a better ball handler. That's just a problem. And that's going to continue to be a problem pretty much all season. Now, with then the rest on the perimeter, you're just letting guys shoot open threes. Tommy Lloyd said today that he's going to take a couple day, or they're going to take a day off tomorrow. And as a coaching staff, they are going to just basically go over everything, and that's what they need to do. They need to go over everything because this isn't good. And not only is this not good, this is something where you're like, this is kind of what a first round upset feels like. That team gets hot and you don't defend them, and I kind of think that's something that you're a little bit worried about here. At least I'm a little worried about it. How about that? And the bigger problem too is that the effort a lot of times just isn't there. They just kind of do silly things. You leave the 3-point shooter. Not only do you leave the 3-point shooter, you also decide too that I'm going to allow myself to get screened really, really easily, and then I'm just going to end up in a mismatch, and that's where Alston Mason just goes off. Not a great look for Arizona, but there's really, there's not much you can really do at this point. Now, there are some really good things about it, but again, where this team is at, but the effort though is just lacking. The effort isn't good enough, and I think that's where, Arizona people should be rightfully a little bit upset because the effort isn't there. You can deal with a lot of things, but when it's that, and ASU too. ASU was down. ASU had a 6-man team. And this is the kind of effort that you put forward that, it's very frustrating. And it's pretty much across the board outside of a couple players where you're just like, all right, what exactly is going on here? It's just not really that exciting. We will find out. We'll find out, though, how this does play out. But overall, not a good performance. It's not all for loss, for sure, because Arizona goes to let's see here, 14-5 in conference. So it's not the end of the world, obviously, but it's also something that I think that you wish that Arizona was playing a little bit better at and playing better ball at this stage in the game, because that's what you want to be doing. And earlier on in the year, Arizona was playing that really good ball, and I think you're like, man, Could this team really, could they peak? Could they be going a little bit too early? I don't really subscribe to that because I think it's difficult as a coach to say, yeah, don't worry about it. Let's not try to play our best ball. And guess what? We'll still be okay. That's not really how this stuff works. So, but there were some really, really good things to come out of this game, as well as including the fact that Arizona is a very, very good seed. But first, we got to talk about SupplyHouse, everybody. SupplyHouse. All right. Now, you might say to yourself, what, Mike, what's SupplyHouse? Well, thanks for asking. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Again, I know nothing about skilled trades, but if I did, this is the place that I would be going. SupplyHouse. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, SupplyHouse is the reliable way to order products online. That is the great part about it. Need help with an order? Or SupplyHouse offers expert support and industry leading services, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free trade master's program offers exclusive perks like dedicated phone line, free shipping, etc., etc. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources. Again, that's the thing. If you don't know what you're doing, go on there. It's kind of your one-stop shop. Plus, with the complete inventory, over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need. Join the trade master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electronic supplies with a few clicks. Again, please use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. SupplyHouse, again, help people that are really doing their own stuff get their own stuff and get it at a very good rate as well. SupplyHouse. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. Locked on, your team every day. Okay, now, there were some good things to take away from this game. The first one that we got to talk about is Henri Veesaar. Henri Veesaar has been a monster for Arizona this season. Not only has Henri Veesaar been a monster, he is also the team that he is also someone that he's just been really, really good. There's really no way around it. He's just been really, really good. So let's talk a little bit about Veesaar and what he brings. He brings shot blocking, he brings 3-point shooting, and he finishes around the basket. That's a big thing. A lot of times you don't get players that can do all of those things. He can do all of those things. And a big part about it is with Arizona, you also know that he's going to kind of be that that last line of defense that you need, in that he is he's kind of your margin for error. Henri Veesaar has become, you miss a shot, he can finish around the hoop. He gets the rebound, he puts it back up. He gets a 3-point shot, he puts it back up. Or, get a 3-point shot miss, he puts it back up. He's very good on the defensive side as well. And let's see here. But I will say, at the end of the day, this is also a player that is at the stage now where you're like, okay, you don't want to get him too good because he's probably a year away from the NBA. But next year, Henri Veesaar is back. Knock on wood. Assuming he's back, Henry's going to be a massive problem for anybody in the country. And as a matter of fact, I don't know that there's going to be, many better bigs in the entire country, because he's going to be stronger. He's going to be finishing around the hoop. You'd also have Mo Crevis back. You'd also have Tobe Awaka, the man of girth, back. You got a lot of different players that you're going to be able to got a lot of players that you're going to be able to hang in there for. Okay, now you also got to look at this big picture with this squad, though. This squad still is a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. It's a top 3 seed in the Big 12. So this isn't the end of the world. Again, was that a bad performance last night? Yes. Arizona got the win, though. Still, you're 14-5 in conference, and it's a team too that is continuing to somehow get wins. We're going to find out a lot in Kansas. I think the stat is that Bill Self is 29-2 on senior day, And those 2 losses were at Oral Roberts. So this is not generally games that he loses, but Kansas is very beatable, and there are some ways that Arizona is going to be able to exploit Kansas. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke, locked on your team every day. All right, what are the ways that Arizona can exploit Kansas? The first way that they can exploit Kansas is Kansas isn't very good. So Hunter Dickinson, and again, Kansas can easily win this game. They're going to be favored for a reason. Hunter Dickinson is just kind of the dude. You know what he is at this stage. He's unathletic. He's fairly skilled, but I don't know that anybody's necessarily terrified of Hunter Dickinson. I mean, I'm not. I don't know that a lot of people are. So that's a game that Henry should be able to play well in. And up front, too, Tobe Awaka and KJ Adams. KJ Adams is just kind of a meh player. Defensively is very good. The problem, though, with KJ Adams is that he can't really score at all outside of some weird he's got a quirky game. And it's a game that Arizona should be able to at least be competitive in. But again, big picture, you got to look at it. There's a top 3 seed in the Big 12, and not only is it a top 3 seed in the Big 12, it's also a team that is a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. So there's that. And so, when people are talking about, this team stinks, Tommy Lloyd, everything's headed in the wrong direction. Well, I mean, you still got to look big picture at where this team stands, and I think you're going to realize that this is probably going to be okay. So there's obviously that. But again, if Arizona is going to play well, if Arizona is going to reach the apex that it wants to reach, it's just got to play better across the board. There's just no. And it's got to give a better effort than it has. I don't think that there's really any other way to put it. Tommy Lloyd said today that they were going to take today off and that the coaches had to figure out some things on what to do, and he's right. This team should play better than they've shown. This team should be able to just be a better team than it's shown. And defensively, it looked like for a while that Arizona was really figuring it out defensively, and then it reverted back to its earlier season form where it basically just allows teams to shoot wide open threes, and that can't really be the case. You've got to do better than that, and the effort's just got to be there. I mean, this is an older teams too, so if there's certain players that just aren't giving effort, then what are we doing here exactly? So, and there's some guys that are just on this team that are just really, really talented, but just kind of make some head-scratching plays. I think, KJ Lewis is a perfect example. KJ's got a lot of talent. KJ's got a lot of talent. But the problem, though, too, is that it feels like KJ's trying to play hero ball half the time, or that KJ is doing things that he can't really do. And, from, trying to break people down off the dribble but overall he had a good game. I love when KJ is in attack mode, and when I say he's in attack mode, getting downhill to the basket. 2-3 dribbles, boom, get there. Don't, and again, defensively too. He gambles for a lot of steals, and a lot of times those steals end up in easy buckets for other teams. It's something that he's got to figure out, something that Arizona's got to figure out, because again, he's a better basketball player than that, and I don't think I'm really telling anybody out there anything that they don't already know. But big picture, again, this is still a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. It's a top 3 seed in the Big 12. And you go from there. You'll take it from there. You'll see exactly what does happen. They got a big game coming up, though, a massive game coming up against Kansas. And when I say you got a big game coming up against Kansas, that's a massive game. You win that, I think you solidify yourself as a 4 seed. And who knows? Maybe you win a couple games in the NCAA tournament, and you are the Big 12 tournament, and you get into a 3 seed, and then you just kind of work backwards from there. That is certainly not out of the realm of possibility. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it happened, and I don't think it should surprise anybody else if it happens as well. It's still a good basketball team. It's just frustrating. I get all of that. I just get all of it, but we'll see. But either way, Arizona's still 14-5 in Big 12 play, top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. So the sky is not falling. I realize that we have high standards around here. You should have high standards, but overall, this is still a team that is pretty darn good, and it'll be interesting to see how this does play out. But on that note, though, Appreciate you tuning into the post-game show. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. Locked on, your team every day.